In recent days, Ukrainian forces have launched an assault into Russian territory. Troops have crossed over into Kursk, a Russian region that borders Ukraine. Locals have been evacuated from the area, and Putin has acknowledged the assault, accusing Ukraine of a large-scale provocation and indiscriminate shooting in the region. Zelensky, on the other hand, has said that the incursion into Russian territory is to provide security to Ukraine.
Сьогодні кілька разів вже доповідав головком Сирський щодо фронту та наших дій і витисканню війни на територію агресора. Дякую кожному нашому підрозділу Сил оборони, які це забезпечують. Україна доводить, що дійсно вміє повертати справедливість та гарантує саме такий тиск, який потрібен – тиск на агресора.
The progression by the Ukrainian forces has boosted morale in a war that has now surpassed 900 days since Putin began his so-called special military operation in February of 2022.
It's really boosting the morale both of Ukrainian people and army, because it shows that we are capable to have successes, that Russia is not so strong like they try to show. So this is success, and successes are very important in the war.
The Kremlin have tried to manage the situation, with the Ministry of Defense sharing footage appearing to show Russian forces taking on Zelensky's troops. However, the incursion looks to have come as a surprise to the Russian military.
And they've taken and held territory. And this is a very well organized operation that was kept very much under wraps, so it was a huge surprise to the Russians. And also, very importantly, the Russians proved to be completely unprepared for this. We also saw this last summer with the Prigozhin mutiny. The Russians aren't preparing for things happening within Russia to this extent, and they've been caught flat-footed both times.
The Russian army will now most likely divert its assets to the area to quash the Ukrainian incursion. But it may be a task that takes longer than Putin hopes.
At some point, the Russians will have to bring in units that are good enough to throw out the good units that the Ukrainians have got there. So I think this battle will become fierce. At some point, the Ukrainians will try, I'm sure, to withdraw in good order. When that will be, I'd say we'd measure that in days and weeks only. We won't measure it in months.
Following the incursion of Kursk, a second region, Belgorod, has now started to evacuate residents as fears grow Ukrainian forces will spread across into more regions. The recent advancement has come as a blow to Putin and his strongman image within Russia.
I think this is a very big blow to Putin's reputation and his image in general as a strong leader who's protecting the Russian public, Russian people from the consequences of this war. And the whole point about referring to the Russia's invasion of Ukraine as a so-called special military operation was to reassure ordinary Russians that this would not become an issue, a security issue.
It now looks as though Zelensky and Ukrainian officials will plan further advancements into Russia. And the US has faced questions on whether Western partners were made aware of the operations.
Can you give a laydown on what the US thinking is on the offensive that the Ukrainians have launched? And do you think is that meant to be a permanent sort of operation, or is that a raid?
Yeah, Jim. So on that, I mean, that's really something for the Ukrainians to talk to. I'd refer you to them to talk about their operations. You know, we are in contact with our Ukrainian counterparts to get additional details in terms of their objectives as it relates to their operation. But I don't have anything beyond that.